The Hitman games have always been known for their unique assassinations, but they take the phrase accidents happen to completely new heights. When guards find someone dead face down in a toilet with their own vomit and a large man standing over them, they just assume they tripped and go home for the night. So I wanted to find out just how far I could push this mechanic. Can I accident kill every single person on a Hitman map? And to add a little spice, can I do it without hitting someone or using a throwable distraction? Let's find out. Out of all the maps in Hitman, the one I thought would be the most interesting for this challenge would be Haven Island. Not only is there lots of water for some people to have some accidents in, but everyone here has double the sightlines of characters on other maps. And you may not know this, but if someone sees you drowning a person, they won't think it's an accident anymore. So I'd have to be careful to make this work. I started out just simply running around the map to find anyone who can make for easy targets. There is a long list of things this game considers accidents, and I'll be using the Wikipedia page to have an easier list to refer to. These can range from someone having something fall on them all the way to exploding propane flasks. With this list in mind, after a bit of searching, I found my first easy kill. These two people on the beach happen to be standing underneath some coconuts, and if I shoot them from the cover of bushes, everyone will simply assume it was a tragic accident that these two died today. And I think it's pretty reasonable to assume this was an accident, but if we're gonna accident kill an entire map, things are gonna have to get a bit more suspicious. To help these accident-prone guests, I gathered a few items from around the map, some of the most important being these poisonous flowers, which will make anyone who eats them sick. In total, I was able to find 4 emetic flowers, just shy of the roughly 215 people who inhabit Haven Island. On top of that, I was able to find a few propane flasks, which if blown up will cause everyone to assume it was an accident kill. But even these flasks, as powerful as they are, will only net me about 4 to 5 kills per flask. So, with everything gathered, it was time to utilize my main strategy for the run, Operation Tripping Hazard. You see, this game has a very strange mechanic. If someone's face is fully submerged in water, even for 1 second, they die instantly. That means if someone is just having a good time in the ocean, splashing around, and they suddenly get shot in the knee and collapse, even if the water's only 1 foot deep, they will die. And despite the bullet wound in their leg, everyone will just assume it was a coincidence and they must have drowned by accident. This creates a hilarious chain reaction where someone will die in the water, a guard will come check it out, the guard trips on his way to look at the body, and another guard will be called to look at him. Rinse and repeat, and you end up with a huge pile of bodies in the water, all with 1 bullet wound in their leg, and everyone assumes it was a tragic mistake. I was not kidding when I said this game has a very generous definition of accident, but it gets better. During this time, Twitch chat and I found our darling savior of the run, the captain. He was definitely on our team. He would constantly find bodies in the ocean and go get a guard to run over. He single-handedly helped us kill probably a third of the guards on the map. I continued using this strategy to eliminate guards in mass across the map. I filled up a few spots in the ocean and the pool, and everyone assumed it was just a really bad day. There really wasn't anything interesting at this part. It was really repetitive, but if you want to see the smaller details, I streamed this whole thing over on Twitch. But with that part done, it was time for the difficult part of this challenge, the stragglers. These are the people just chatting by the pool, working out, or grabbing a drink. They often don't move too much, so I'd have to get creative to get an accident kill on these people. If you remember, I banned the use of hitting people or using distractions for this. Otherwise, I could just knock out everyone and drag their bodies into the water for an accident, which is pretty boring. So what I instead did is collected every fire hydrant on the map. When these are shot, they blow up and KO everyone around them. So this was the only way to knock people out, and they would essentially be my get out of jail free card. I had some other resources I had found, and I started putting them to good use. For example, I found some lethal poison earlier, and instead of putting it into someone's food for 1 kill, I put it in the ventilation of an underground facility, eliminating all 12 people who were wandering its halls, which again is for some reason considered to be an accident. They probably just had heart attacks. I moved from there to the restaurant area of the map, which contained a few more easy kills. By sneaking into a window and turning on an ice maker, I could distract a chef long enough for me to sneak around the other side while the second chef wasn't looking and construct a trap. I created a gas leak and turned off the stove, so when the chef turned it on, he blew himself up. Another accident in the bag. I then poisoned every single dish he was serving with the emetic flowers from earlier. As people ate the poisoned food, they would go throw up in the bathroom a story below, where I would be waiting to drown them. Before the next person could arrive, I dragged their corpse out of the bathroom and stored them, as I'd need them for a later plan. I had a few other plans that ended up being duds. I really hoped that I could throw more people off of balconies or drop chandeliers on people, but due to the doubled sightlines, any accident that involved me actually pushing or being near the person I was killing would almost always result in me getting caught. Any accident I orchestrated either had to be in complete isolation or I'd need to be shooting from cover of a nearby bush to have any chance of pulling it off. I also thought it would be fun to knock people off of the jet skis that get ridden around the map, only to find out that for some reason they only take one shot to kill while they're out there. So that was again a no. During this time, I also set up a few more environmental traps. Most often I would create a water leak and break a lamp to create an electrified puddle, but more often than not this would just kill me 15 minutes later when I had forgotten about it. I used up the rest of the environmental kills in this level, such as shooting this shark thing to kill a bartender who wouldn't leave her station, or dropping coconuts onto one of my targets as he went to check out his jet ski. Speaking of targets, I'm skipping over them for a reason. They were very boring. One of them just walked into an electrified puddle and the other one just tripped and fell in the ocean like everyone else. Things seemed to be going well, but the game was getting angry with me. I had overstayed my welcome and it was making it clear. If you don't know, these games don't really like it when you spend hours in the same mission, and it had been over 5 hours at this point, so things were starting to break. Remember the captain from earlier? His mind was unfortunately starting to go as his age got to him. And the captain wasn't the only one. There were tons of people who were supposed to be chatting in groups, just standing around, staring at piles of corpses as the shock and horror of the accident in front of them just short-circuited their frontal cortex as they stared into the abyss, their mind never to return from its clutches. I was getting concerned, so I started to dip into the pile of corpses I'd saved up for my plan. Normally, the doubled sightlines on this map are a huge roadblock, but I had an idea for these corpses to turn that into an advantage. There are plenty of people who will never notice bodies in water normally, as they're just not looking towards it and never will. But by running into and bumping them, they'll turn towards me, and in the process, if there are any bodies near me in the water, even if very far away, they'll run towards it to try to help them, where I can use the classic kneecap shot to get another free kill. I used a similar strategy by trespassing in certain areas, and when people would get up to tell me to leave, they would spot a body in the water and run down to investigate, only to unfortunately trip and drown along the way. But at this point, the game just started shutting down. It wasn't just Captain whose mind was gone. A huge portion of the remaining minds were just completely shattered, and they no longer walked along their routes. Instead, they would just stand isolated in various corners staring at nothing like they were horror game characters. On top of that, some of my fire extinguishers just straight up didn't work. The reason I saved the fire extinguishers for so long was since all the guards were dead, knocking people out with the remaining fire extinguishers was very effective, since guards are the only people who can actually wake up KO'd NPCs. As a result, I was hoping I could take the people I knocked out and convince them to slip and fall over the balcony in a tragic accident without facing risk of a guard waking them up. But when I did this, people would go check out the bodies, but instead of continuing about their day or trying to get help after finding them, they would just stand there and start going on their phone, meaning I would be spotted killing people. I tried resorting to the poison bombs I'd brought with me that could make entire crowds sick, but at this point, every single person was completely isolated and either in a trance or permanently panicked. The only upside was that the glitches and panic weren't entirely a disadvantage. Sometimes someone would run across the entire map in fear and end up finding a random body, allowing me to get a couple extra kills from the old tripping hazard. But despite the bugs, I continued to press on. I pulled out all of the propane flasks and used them on the very few groups of people that remained, and got about 10 kills total in the process. The fire extinguishers didn't do me any better thanks to the bugs from earlier, and I couldn't even use all the poison I'd gathered since nobody was eating or drinking anymore, even if they normally would. After a combination of the people not grouping up and the game just shutting down on me, I reached a point where I had exhausted every last resource at my disposal, and about 15 conscious people still remained. I was forced to wave the white flag and break my rule of not knocking out anyone, and used a fish I'd found to accidentally eliminate the final few by knocking them out and dragging them into water or dumping them over railings. All accidents. Before holding a funeral for the true carry of the run, Old Cap. And we'll take his body to the ocean. He'll be with the others. It's for his own good. His mind was gone. Everyone, give him your best wishes as he sets sail into the afterlife. Goodbye, boat captain. You will be missed. I think I hiled by accident. On that somber note, thank you for watching. Please pay your respects to the captain down below, and I'll see you next time.